Have you ever opened social media just for a quick scroll and somehow 5 minutes later you're questioning your entire life? You see someone you went to school with, they just bought a house. Another one just got engaged. Someone else is celebrating a promotion. And suddenly your brain does something strange. It starts comparing. You start thinking, wait, we started in the same classroom. How did they get so far ahead? But here's the strange part. The people you think are ahead of you often feel like they are behind too. And once you understand why that happens, you start seeing success very differently. But to understand that, we have to start with something incredibly small. A 5-minute scroll. Picture this. You open Instagram. You went looking for a life lesson. You just wanted a break. Maybe watch a few funny videos. Maybe a dog doing something ridiculous. But then the first post appears. Someone you went to school with, they are holding house keys. Caption says, "Finally bought our first home." Nice. You are happy for them. Then the next post appears. Engagement photos. Perfect lighting, perfect smiles. You keep scrolling, promotion announcement. New car. Someone started a business. 5 minutes ago, you're watching dog videos. Now, you're staring at the ceiling thinking, wait, when did everyone become adults? And here's why this feels so strange. These are not random people. You know them well. You sat in the same classroom. You had the same teachers. You complained about the same exams. At one point, you were all standing at the same starting line. So, when you see them succeed, your brain does something automatic. It starts measuring. Not in a bad way, just naturally. Because the people we grew up with become the barometer we use to measure success. But here's where things get interesting. The scroll isn't actually the real problem. The real problem is who we compare ourselves to and why our brain picks those people. Here's something about the human brain. We rarely measure our lives in isolation. We measure them socially. We look sideways. Who's earning more? Who's traveling more? Who seems happier? And the easiest people to compare to is ourselves. And the people who started life in the same place we did. School friends, college classmates, old teammates, they feel like the fairest comparison because in our minds, we all began the race together. But real life doesn't work like a race. People choose different paths, different cities, different careers, different risks. Some get lucky early, some struggle for years before things click. But social media doesn't show that part. It shows moments, milestones, announcements. And when you see enough of these moments, your brain starts connecting the dots that aren't really there. It starts telling a story that sounds like this. Everyone else is moving forward faster than me. Let me ask you something honestly. Have you ever seen someone from school succeed and felt happy for them, but also a little uncomfortable? That feeling has a reason. And this is where most people misunderstand their life completely. Because there's a hidden assumption almost everyone makes about success. And once you see it, the pressure starts to disappear. Most of the pressure people feel in their late 20s and 30s comes from something that actually isn't real. I call it the timeline illusion. The belief that life follows a fixed schedule. Success by this age, marriage by that age, money by some invisible deadline. And if life doesn't match that timeline, it feels like you're falling behind. But here's the problem. The timeline we compare ourselves to are incomplete. We see the highlights, not the stress, not the risks, not the doubts. And sometimes the pressure gets so intense, people do something even worse. They open LinkedIn, which is basically social media, but everyone is wearing a suit. One post says, "Honored to announce my promotion." Another post says, "Thrilled to share I purchased my first investment property." And 3 minutes later, You are thinking, I just logged in to update my profile picture. That's the moment you realize something important. Most platforms don't show life, they show announcement. And announcements create illusions that everyone else is figuring it out. So instead of asking the questions that creates pressure, am I behind? Ask a different question. Am I moving forward? Because progress isn't loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Learn a skill, change direction, try something new. Those small steps might not look impressive online, but over time, they create momentum. And momentum changes everything. So, if you ever find yourself scrolling and feeling like everyone else is ahead, remember something important. The grass isn't always greener. Sometimes it just looks that way because you are staring at someone else's highlight reel. But every life has its own pace, its own struggles, its own timeline. And once you understand that, you stop racing everyone else. And you start building something that actually belongs to you. No noise, no rush, just smart text and chill vibes.